Hello everyone, good afternoon. So my question to you is the Metaverse like an early stage product? That's the question we want to talk about for the next 30 minutes. We have an amazing panel with very big successful funds coming up. I'll have a quick introduction about the Metaverse as an early stage product. And everyone can then make up his opinion about this topic, which maybe you've heard in the past couple of weeks, months, that people claiming it's already dead, the Metaverse. But is it true? Some people present it as the future of the internet, the future version of the internet. Some people claim it's already dead and over, it was just a hype. So what to believe at the current stage? I think it's time to actually have a serious conversation about the state of the Metaverse. So let's do that. In 2022, some numbers, Pew Research, they did a study over 600 technology innovators and researchers, activists, developers, business and policy leaders to ask them the question, do you believe that the Metaverse will be part of our daily lives by 2040? And over half said yes, 54% said they strongly believe by 2040 it'll be part of our daily lives. Also, KPMG did a study from consumers, and the same result. Over half the people say, yes, it will. But that's 2040, so what about today? Where are we at today? Let's look at some numbers. If you look at this graph, you'll see not so nice numbers. Some people think the Metaverse has these integrated virtual worlds. Maybe you've seen like Decentraland or the Sandbox. Here's a graph showing user numbers, monthly active users from Decentraland, Sandbox, Voxel, Somnium Space, Superworld, these typical platforms. And you see the numbers are not doing great now. And that's why a lot of people think the Metaverse is dead. But that's a mistake. Yeah. Because let's look at another type of virtual worlds, the major Metaverse gaming worlds. Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, your children, they play these, you've heard of these. Look at their numbers. Roblox has like 214 million monthly active users. 214 million active users in a month. And they spend over 10 hours a month. So that's huge.
A day.
No. 10 hours a month, which is huge. Fortnite has 70 million, Minecraft 176 million. So the kids, and over 40% are between 9 and 13-year-old. So these kids our kids are growing up in these virtual worlds. And so imagine what they're going to be like in 5 to 10 years. How are they going to be purchasing and online when they're spending their childhoods in these virtual worlds? Yeah. So the Generation Z is going to have different behaviors, which we as boomers don't always expect. And they already, if you ask the kids, they already prefer, it's more important for them the digital identity than their real world identity. And so that's why also ask your kids, what they want for Christmas presents. They want some gift cards to buy, digital decorative items for their avatars in Roblox. And they prefer spending their Sundays, hanging out with their friends in like Fortnite instead of, doing what you should be doing, namely hiking in the Swiss mountains like my kids have to do. Yeah. So, in a sense, the Metaverse is already here, massive numbers. But there's still a lot of confusion in people's heads. I think people have trouble getting their heads around it. What is the Metaverse? Massive confusion. People tend to identify it with one specific concept, like, it's these video games, or it's these digital twins of a factory, or it's virtual reality. It's NFTs, yeah. But that's a very narrow definition or image of the Metaverse. The Metaverse is much broader. And first of all, there is only the Metaverse and not many metaverses, just like there's only the internet. So let's begin to resolve this confusion a little bit, at least for today. And we can start by saying, what is the Metaverse not? Yeah. What the Metaverse is not, it's tools. It's not its tools. AR, augmented reality, and virtual reality, these are, devices, how to access the metaverse. They're interfaces. They're not the metaverse itself. Web3, NFTs, blockchains, these are features that enhance and enable and empower the open metaverse. It's not the metaverse itself. And AI is just a tool for content generation and content creation and additional features, right? So just like the smartphone is a device to access the internet, let's not make the mistake of saying the smartphone is the internet. Yeah? Just like VR is not the metaverse. Yeah. So it's not the tools. One thing that helps to bring some clarity is if you try to distinguish in 3 categories. I think it helps a lot. One is the industrial metaverse, one is the enterprise metaverse, and one is the social metaverse. The industrial metaverse, it's like these digital twins with virtual reality that you can replicate a factory and optimize it and test things before you build it in real. It's like obvious use cases that industries like Siemens are massively building. Enterprise metaverse, it's what Microsoft is focusing on. It's just the natural next step of MS Teams and Zoom, more virtual, more 3D. It's obvious use cases. These are enterprise cases. And then there's the social metaverse, that's everything else. And it's the part where people have trouble kind of imagining what's the real value. So as we've seen, big video games like Roblox and Minecraft, they're already here and they're already mass adopted. But what's interesting is, for example, on Nintendo, the games that have the most users are the ones that are not gaming purpose. They're not non-gaming purpose, actually for social purposes. It's called, one example is Animal Crossing's New Horizons is like a game. It's very cartoony and it's the ones that has the most users on Nintendo. People go there to hang out, socialize, and then do some gardening. They have to raise some animals. And it's the one that attracts the most users. So the social metaverse is a thing already. And if you look at this, already you see it's difficult to make a definition of the metaverse. Right? You see it's hard to define it in one thing. And it's early, and we know that humans are kind of really bad at predicting what's not predictable. So yeah, it's hard to make a single definition. But what I do think is very obvious is, and this is what I want to talk about most today, it's the convergence of these 3 technologies that I said were not the metaverse. The convergence of AR, VR, Web3, and AI. This convergence, it's accelerating the realization of the open metaverse. So AR, VR is making it more immersive, it's making it more interactive, more accessible, and the progress is extremely visible. Web3 is making it such that you can have virtual worlds and ownership. It's creating a good foundation for it. And the AI is massively accelerating everything. So it's the convergence of these 3. Let's have a look at each of these 3 separately. The first one, AR, VR, MR, mixed reality. The big companies are investing, billions since actually more than a decade in this, and they're not giving up. They're doubling down. Just look at the massive launches that were happening over the past 2-3 months. If you look, Meta launched the Meta Quest 3, which they've spent billions developing for a long time. They've now launched this Ray-Ban smart glasses. I don't know if you haven't seen it. It looks super real and it's very impressive. We'll see how people adopt this. Apple launched its Vision Pro, billions and billions spent of research during many years. And last week there was this famous interview, now it's an hour long, of Lex Friedman interviewing Mark Zuckerberg with these avatars mimicking their real faces. Apparently the new word for it, it's called codec avatars, apparently. I don't really know what it means, but it's these photorealistic avatars, and it's extremely impressive to see the progress. So, yeah, you can believe in it or not that these things are coming. I know it's hard to believe that these goggles are really going to be a thing, and if you don't want to believe in the virtual reality goggles, at least believe in augmented reality, because smartphones, they're already mass adopted, and the augmented reality is mainly just with your smartphone overlaying a virtual layer over the real world. Pokemon Go was the first augmented reality mass adopted. So this coming more and more, and as the VR glasses improve, it's kind of obvious that it's happening. And then the second part, which we've heard a lot, second element of the convergence, we've heard a lot today. It's the Web3, which is allowing the metaverse to be open, where you can own your assets. Not like in Roblox today, where you don't own anything you buy, right? You have 100 billion worth of digital items that are being bought in the world, but it's like rental goods. But now with Web3, you can make it into your digital owned items. It's kind of obvious that at some point this will be adopted. You will hear later probably some of our panelists debate about this, but we'll see. And now it's possible to have in the metaverse these digital items and ownership fully on-chain thanks to advanced blockchains like the internet computer that you've heard today. You can now have all of your virtual assets in the metaverse on-chain, fully on-chain. And yeah, that's also why for Shiku Metaverse we're building on the internet computer, because now people can really have all their things on-chain, whatever they want, their avatar, the 3D model of their items that they create, and so forth. And then the third component of the convergence, it's the AI, obviously. Because generative AI just makes everything so much faster. You used to have to spend a lot of money to pay 3D designers and Unity engineers to create these worlds. Now you can just text and type what you want your 3D space to look like, and then it generates it by itself. So this is massively accelerating everything for the metaverse. User-generated content is suddenly possible. Avatars and object generation. AI-driven quests and games. Maybe Brett, you can talk about that later. AI-assisted avatars, co-pilots. It's obvious use cases for these virtual worlds, and that's also why Meta is focusing on AI, right? Because they're not abandoning the metaverse. They just understood that if they focus on AI, they can then win the big game in the long run, which is the metaverse. So my key takeaway is the convergence of these three technologies, AR, VR, MR, Web3, and AI, it's enabling massive acceleration of the realization of the open metaverse. And we believe strongly that this convergence could be a big narrative for a next market upturn. The metaverse has been developing over 20 years. There was the first hype cycle, now is sustained development. They're leveraging AI, integrating on blockchains like internet computer, and all of this converging with the hardware, the VR progress, could be a very big narrative. And suddenly this is accelerating very fast. And I think it's the defining years over the next 1-2 years for builders and investors to make sure you don't miss this, in my opinion, unstoppable technological trend. Thank you. So.